Recess Lighting 101. Everything you need to know so that you get the right lights for your house. So let's get started. It's overdone, and they're putting cheap, done in a grid, easy for the electrician, inefficient. It lights the space blandly, but it doesn't do what it should do for your house. And that's make it special. Highlight the things you want to light. Do what you want the light to do. Today, we're going to talk about 5 questions you need to ask yourself in order to buy the right recessed lights for you. Your electrician may specify lights, they may sound good, but there's a lot of things that you need to check because it's your house. And again, nobody cares as much as you do. First question is, why do you want the light? What is the purpose, the function? Is it going to be a task light over your kitchen counters? Is it going to be an ambient light that lights the path down a hallway? Or is it going to be a spot that hits a beautiful sculpture or a piece of artwork? You have to define what it's going to do in order to choose the right fixture. Why do we use recessed lights in the first place? I mean, we can all agree the grid is hideous, and for the most part, the plans I see have no lighting plan. The homeowners know nothing about recessed lights and the different types that are available to them, and so they take the crap advice of an electrician, and God bless them, I love electricians, but they are not lighting designers. They don't know why you're going to need that light in that particular place unless you tell them. One of the fantastic things that recessed lights do is they hide the bulb. Because it's recessed, we hope, up in the ceiling, the bulb is higher up, away from the surface of your ceiling. The light is diffused, kind of like these lights on my face. It's a nicer light. You get less glare. Another reason that recessed lights are useful is that they don't compete with other lights in the space. I've been working with a subscriber. Welcome to Theo's house. Let's see if we can get through here. So here's Theo's space. We've got an island, we've got the vaulted ceiling, the staircase is over here, so this is the proposed 2-story pendant. Gonna need some kind of light over the dining area, and then we've got the sitting area here. So if we have lights here, and over here by the stairs, it starts to get busy. The space is gonna fill up and look cluttered. Already, with just these lights, we've got a lot going on. There's pendants over the island. There's a chandelier or a pendant over the dining table for light. And then we need light in the living area, so either a semi-flush or a pendant. And then there's a 2-story pendant light that hangs over the staircase. These are all in the same space. It's not going to work. It's too much competition. There's too many lights that need to talk to each other. Recessed lights might be a great solution to minimize how many hanging fixtures have to relate to each other in one big open space. I live currently in a 1974 house where there's not a single recessed can, and I can tell you, the lighting sucks. Recessed lights supplement the fixtures that we choose, and they help to highlight things and light up spaces without taking away from these fabulous fixtures we've chosen. They are utilitarian in delivering illumination to places where we don't want to compete with another fixture, a low ceiling, a view, the television. And while we're on the television, if you're going to put a recessed can that highlights a mantle with a TV over it, make sure that that switch is separate from the rest of the room so you can turn that light off when you're watching TV and you won't have a glare. Why do we want the light? Is it going to be a task light? Is it going to be an angled light that hits a piece of artwork? Is it going to be a spot that highlights a piece of sculpture? Is it going to be an ambient light that lights up a hallway? What is the purpose of the light? Why do you need it? Because there's tons of different types of fixtures out there. So you have to narrow down your choices. It will help you to choose when you know why you need the light. When you look through your plans and you start to do a count for how many recessed lights, you're going to be surprised how many there are. I had 73. Between the exterior and the interior, 73 lights. So when you start to add them up, you have to consider your budget. That's number 2. Think about, what are your restrictions? What are your budget restrictions? What are the construction restrictions? So if you're putting them in a vault where you don't have deep rafters and you need a shallow housing, those are restrictions. They, again, narrow your choices and make it easier. Your ceiling is going to dictate what kind of housing you need. So if you're doing new construction housing, if you have remodel housing, the type of housing is going to depend on your construction. There are also housings that are designed to be in contact with your insulation and ones that are designed not to be in contact with your insulation. So non-IC and IC housings. And there's also shallow housings for your slope ceilings. They will narrow your choices as well. What's your budget for recessed lights? Most people haven't set aside a proper lighting budget. Now there's some formulas out there that say maybe 10% of your budget, something like that, for fixtures and recessed lights. If you think about it before you go shopping, before you start building, before you start renovating, and you properly plan for it, you can get nice lights. Now when it comes to the price of recessed lighting, $5 up to $600 or more. So you've got to know what you want. You've got to know what your restrictions are as far as how much you can afford. And when you're thinking about a light and it's $80, doesn't sound like much. But when you have 73 of them, it can bust your lighting budget and you haven't bought a fixture yet. We all know what a cheap light looks like. From Home Depot or Lowe's, you can go buy a flush mount boob light for $25, $50. You can do the same with a recessed light and you're going to get the same kind of light. So you want to consider how valuable light is to you. And this is where it really gets me, because if you think about how much money you spend on everything else and then you can't see it well, or it looks orange, or it's blown out and it's too bright, or it's in shadows, lighting is so important. It makes everything else look better. You know what you want it for, and you know how much you can afford, and what type of housing you need, what kind of construction you need. Then it's time to look at the types of recessed lights that are available. I have a video that's specifically just about the types that are out there. But for the purpose of this video, you can get a baffle, you can get a gimbal, you can get a spotlight, you can get a general reflector, different colors, a slot, or an angle. They have tube lights. There's all kinds of choices out there. So now you've got how much you can afford, what it's going to do, and the type you need. What's next? What do we have to think about? Well, when you look up, what do you want to see? Do you want to see a big white rim? Do you want to see a big black rim with a black reflector, a silver reflector? Do you want to see a gimbal? What do you want to see when you look up? There's lots of different trim kits. You can choose from a range of colors: silver, white, black, copper. There's all kinds of features with night lights. Everything you can dream of is out there. And if you want a seamless look and you want them to disappear as much as possible, they have these cool flanges that you can drywall and tape right up to. And so you only have this little hole in the wall where light comes out of. Very cool. These trimless kits are a little bit pricey, but they're really sleek, and they just give a little tiny hole in the wall and this mysterious light comes out. There's no trim, there's no raised edge, there's nothing. They're beautiful. We're getting so close. When you've chosen the type of light that you need, and the function, and the price point, and all of that stuff, you want to check three things. The lumens it puts out, that's the amount of light it's going to give out. Often forgotten is the beam spread. So each bulb will have a spread from spot to narrow to a flood. The kelvins available. Most of these days come with a little switch on the transformer, so you can change it from 2700 kelvins up to 5,000 or 6,000 kelvins. However, that transformer goes up in the wall. If you want to change your mind, like they say, it's changeable, it's so easy. It's not as easy as they say. You've got to pull the light down and pull the transformer box down.
Very carefully pull these out. They're like the...
Now, I don't know about you, but a nice painted ceiling and a clean drywall hole, I don't want to keep messing with it and change it.
Same here. So you can select what color temperature you want. So it goes from 2700 Kelvin down to about 6500 Kelvin.
When you get the lights, have the electrician do it in your space. Change the temperature to see what Kelvin you want.
Put that up there, put the wire back in.
That way you don't have to pull it down and do damage to your new ceiling and your drywall with dirty little fingerprints and all that up there. That's all. So those are the 5 things I want to think about when I'm going shopping for lights, or when I'm reading that allowance bid from my contractors. What's the purpose? What's the budget or the restrictions of the site? What type do I want? What are the features of that type of light? And what do I want it to look like? What is the trim kit? There it is. That was the whole video. You didn't have to watch it. You could have just and been done and out. Half of you probably already bailed anyway. I'm sitting here, you can't get to the end. All right, we're done. If you want to know how many you need, how far apart, all of that other stuff, you better subscribe, because I got another video coming.